Some places hold secrets, secrets better left undisturbed. We travel through the veil between worlds, where ghosts of the past refuse to stay buried. Prepare to witness firsthand the chilling evidence of the paranormal. The story of those who have encountered the other side and the unexplained phenomena that defy logic and reason. Are you ready to face the unknown? Welcome to Milkshakes and Ghosts.
This episode is brought to you by
Sinister Brew Coffee isn't your ordinary cup of joe. It's a bold, horror-themed, small-batch coffee company owned by veterans who dare to take your taste buds on a dark and delicious journey.
From cosmic creations to cryptid-inspired blends, every roast comes with a sinister twist. Handcrafted for those who crave something truly unique.
It's not just coffee. It's an experience steeped in mystery, macabre storytelling, and flavors that are to die for.
Dare to sip in the shadows and join the Sinister family at sinisterbrewcoffee.com.
Where every cup reminds you that the darkness is delicious.
Hey everyone, I'm Jessie.
And I'm Jenny.
We've got a very scary place to discuss with all of you wonderful people listening.
I don't know, Jessie. You think our audience is ready for this?
Well, I hope they are, because this is one of the most bone-chilling places we've ever discussed.
First, I want to ask all of our listeners a question. Do you believe in ghosts? If you don't, this real-life haunting may change your mind.
Get ready to not be able to sleep at night, because today we are going to be discussing the Screaming House of Union, Missouri.
From this story, you'll hear about the Lachance family and how they only lasted 13 days in one of the most haunted houses in America. I said it, 13 days.
Before we get started, Mom, I really need to know one thing.
What's that, Jessie?
What you drinking today, huh?
You would think by now I should know after 4 seasons of our show that you're going to ask me what I'm drinking.
I have to know. You can't just hide things from me.
I always forget to mention when we start our show what I'm drinking, because I'm always really excited to discuss all things spooky with you, Jessie.
You know, we can't have any discussions without our milkshakes, of course.
Facts. So today I'm drinking a Java chip milkshake. I got the recipe online from Inside Brew Crew Life.
What's in it?
Vanilla frozen yogurt and one of my favorite types of coffee, which is Sinister Brew Dark Roast. The recipe did not require that specific coffee. You can use any type of coffee you'd like. That's just the one I like. So I also used some chocolate milk with mini chocolate chips. I lined my tumbler cup with chocolate syrup and put whipped cream on the top, which I'm sure you can't see because I have my lid on, Jessie. I will link the recipe in our show notes for anyone else who's interested in trying it. It's really good. Better than, I'm not going to say the franchise, but better than any major franchise out there, the big ones, that you go through the drive-thru to get your little frappies in the morning. This tastes better.
Coffee lover. Oh.
Jess, it's not just any coffee. It's Sinister Brew coffee.
I thought you were going to say it's not just coffee, it's a lifestyle.
Technically, drinking coffee is a lifestyle, especially if it's Sinister Brew.
I know that you must like it if you have coffee in there. Every single thing you have coffee in there, you think it's the bomb.
I absolutely love this milkshake. I made it really strong with the coffee, and it tastes so good.
You and your coffee, man.
So, what's in your cup today, Jessie?
I'm drinking a cherry milkshake with frozen yogurt, and I got the recipe from online, Amy's Savory Dish.
That sounds a lot more healthier than your other milkshakes.
I felt like doing something healthier today since I have all this cotton candy that I'm eating while we're recording.
Where in the world did you get that? I just blinked and you pulled out a bunch of cotton candy. Where are you hiding your snacks in our pod lab? I don't get it. I can never figure this out.
It's a secret I'm never going to tell you, but I have many ways to hide my snacks.
So, how did you make your milkshake? What's in it?
It was actually a really simple recipe. I used frozen cherries, vanilla frozen yogurt, non-dairy milk. Although the recipe did not require it, I just preferred non-dairy. I added some ice and then blended it into the blender.
That sounds really good. So, do you like it?
I do. I just feel like it's missing chocolate. It needs like chocolate syrup or something.
Chocolate would make that taste so much better. I'm in total agreement with you. Chocolate goes really good with cherries.
All right, everyone. Grab your favorite milkshakes and hold on to your blankie. Be wary. It's about to get scary.
Not too long ago, we discussed the Amityville horror on our show.
I believe that was season 3, episode 4.
For those of you listening, if you haven't heard that episode, go give it a listen. It's a really good episode.
It really was.
Well, the Lutz family was subjected to unbearable paranormal activities for 28 days before they fled the home. But what if there was something worse than what the Lutz family experienced? What if a family was terrorized to the point where they only lasted in their home for 13 days before running for their lives?
Today, we're going to be discussing the Screaming House of Union, Missouri, and how the Lachance family was victimized by a supernatural unseen terror for 13 days.
This is one of the scariest places we've covered. Matter of fact, as much as I love going on ghost investigations, this is one place I would never go.
I'm with you on that, Mom. After researching this episode, I feel the same way.
The year 2001 cast a long, cold shadow over Stephen Lachance and his 3 children. Their world had fractured, the silence left by a departed wife and mother echoing in their small apartment. Stephen's lease was eventually up, and he needed a fresh start for both him and his children. Like many, he had answered just about every ad in the newspaper for rentals. One evening, he received a call from a woman telling him about a house. The woman explained it was a rather large old house in perfect shape. The following Sunday, the woman invited Stephen to an open house. Stephen arrived that following Sunday with his daughter to a big, beautiful house. They were surprised with how spacious and beautiful it was. The smell of fresh baked cookies hit their nostrils as soon as they walked through the front door. The living room was full of cherubs that surrounded the top of the wall and the entire room. The original woodwork of the home was intact, and a large wooden pole ran to the ceiling, creating a divider separating the living room from the family room. The house had 2 floors with 3 bedrooms, and a large family kitchen with a mudroom, which is basically a small narrow entry that leads to the back door. People usually use this area to remove their shoes.
I'm glad you explained what a mudroom was because I was about to ask.
Prior to learning about the Screaming House, I had never heard of a mudroom before. The upstairs had a breezeway, which is like a roof open passage connecting 2 buildings or 2 halves of a building, usually with a garage, that could be accessed from all rooms. This is another term I had never heard of before.
Same here.
The basement had an old butcher's shower and a fruit cellar. It was more house than the Lachance family had ever seen. This was a dream home compared to their small, cramped apartment.
I can understand why Stephen would be so quick to want to move in. He has 3 kids, he's a single father, and this is a huge home for a low, affordable price.
Exactly. I would have made the same decision if I was in Stephen's shoes. So Stephen spoke to the landlady, and she gave him an application to fill out. While Stephen was there touring the home, he couldn't help but notice lots of other people viewing this property. Stephen knew he had to put his application in right away. This would be a competition to get this house. After filling out the application, he gave it back to the landlady. Here's the kicker. The landlady looks at him and says, "You understand the responsibility of living in an old house like this. Stephen nodded and replied with, "Yes, I understand. It's beautiful."
It sounds like Steven didn't understand what he was agreeing to.
Girl, he sure didn't. He just saw a big, beautiful, affordable house for his children. I don't blame him. Again, I would have done the same thing if I was in his shoes.
I bet the landlady made the house smell like cookies so that it felt more homely when people walked in. Usually, if the home is haunted, the energy feels off. Baking cookies can make it more appealing for people walking in.
That's a really good point, Jessie. That's most likely what happened. After the exchange of words and Stephen's application for the home, the landlady quickly left to speak with other potential clients. A week went by before Stephen's phone rang one evening. The landlady was overly excited to tell Stephen that she had selected him and his children to live in the old house. The following day, Stephen met her at a restaurant to settle all of the paperwork and payment.
That's strange that they didn't send the paperwork in the home that Stephen wanted to rent.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a valid point. The article I read stated that Stephen Lachance felt strange about going to a restaurant. He wanted to see the home once more, like everybody else would, because I know if that was me, I would be wanting to see the home again. He was about to move into it, so it made more sense to sign the paperwork at the home. But it was the landlady's idea to meet him in that restaurant. So that right there was very odd.
That's a red flag right there.
It sure is. So, the following weekend was Memorial Day weekend, and the Lachance family was all ready to move in.
I wish this story stayed pleasant, but if it did, we wouldn't be covering it on a show. So, moving day for the Lachance family. Super exciting for anyone, right? There, nestled amongst the familiar quiet, stood the Lachance family's classic white house with an inviting porch and a seemingly innocent yard, a multi-story haven. Hope flickered within the Lachances as they crossed the threshold, unaware of the chilling welcome that awaited.
The Lachance family had no idea what they were in for.
The very first day they moved in, a dark sedan stopped in front of the house. "Hope you get along here okay," a voice shouted from the car. Then, a screech of tires and the unsettling message vanished down the street, leaving Stephen and his children with a prickling unease that they couldn't yet comprehend. "What do you think of that, Dad?" Stephen's daughter asked. "Friend neighbors, I suppose," Stephen replied. The first night in the house went by without much incident.
Maybe they didn't notice anything since they were so tired from the move. Moving can be exhausting.
Maybe, but the next morning, Stephen noticed something strange about the house. Each of the house's interior doors had an old-fashioned hook and a latch, but not on the inside of each room's doors, to keep someone out. The latches were on the outside of the room doors as if to keep something in.
That is so scary. I just got goosebumps on my arms from the thought. Oh my goodness.
Same here, I got a little chill down my spine. The first incident happened in Stephen's living room. Stephen was hanging a picture of two angels. Stephen's daughter thought the picture of the angels would complement the cherubs that surrounded the room. Stephen hung the picture and turned to walk away. All of a sudden, he turned to see the picture had fallen to the floor. Rehanging the picture once again, he turned away. The picture was once again on the floor. Hanging it for a third time, he felt a rush of air when he started to walk away. And then, something hit the back of his ankle. He turned only to see the picture lying on his feet.
Whoa. That's just too much. I would have left that same day.
I'm in agreement. It's obvious a negative entity is there after this picture had fallen repeatedly, first on the floor and now on Stephen. That's a violation. I'm sorry, I had to say it. Stephen was more determined than ever He hung the picture up again and stated loudly, "Stay there." He laughed to himself since he was in the home alone. His 3 children were playing on the front porch. His daughter's voice suddenly rang through the front door. "Dad, come see this." Stephen stepped onto the porch. "Sit down and watch this," his daughter said excitedly. "Watch what?" Stephen replied. His daughter pointed to an old man walking down the sidewalk toward their house. However, when he reached their property line, he quickly crossed the street and walked on the opposite side of the sidewalk. "They don't like walking in front of our house, Dad," Stephen's daughter said with a puzzled look on her face. "Isn't that weird?" Stephen sat on the porch for the next 3 hours, watching as neighbors walked, avoiding walking near or in front of their home. A couple times, Stephen motioned as if to say hello, but they just dropped their heads and continued to walk, this time at a much faster pace. Maybe they're uncomfortable with new neighbors, Stephen rationalized in his own brain, trying to make sense of a senseless situation. Stephen and his children went inside for dinner, and the rest of the night went unusual without incident.
This episode is brought to you by
Embrace the enchanting darkness with wicked Salem candles. Spooky, yet delightfully scented. Discover non-toxic, aromatic, long-lasting, clean burn, eco-friendly soy candles in bewitching scents and vibrant colors.
Wicked Salem Candles is a healthy alternative for people with allergies or respiratory issues, while also being environmentally friendly due to the renewable nature of soy wax.
With these candles, you're not just illuminating your space with a steady glow, you're protecting the environment. These candles are safer and environmentally friendly since they release fewer harmful chemicals into the air when burned.
Do you like getting candles with a longer burn time? Well, with Wicked Salem Candles, you'll get just that. These soy candles provide a consistent, unwavering flame, crafted for a lasting brilliance.
Wicked Salem candles are more than just candles. They offer a curated collection of spooky treasures. Discover bewitching room sprays, hauntingly beautiful art decor, and spellbinding accessories.
Whether you're preparing for Halloween, celebrating the fall season, or simply love a touch of the macabre, Wicked Salem Candles has something for you. Enjoy a touch of spookiness all year round.
Affordable, yet aromatic, long-lasting, environmental, friendly scents. If you're ready to illuminate your path the Wicked Salem way, visit wickedsalemscandle.com. Wicked Salem Candles, so good it's scary. They moved in on a Friday, and it was now Sunday. The kids came home from church, excited because Stephen had set aside the day to work on the yard. This was a big deal for the kids. The only outside area in their apartment only provided a front balcony. So, imagine this big backyard they now had to play in.
That is a big change. City life to country life.
I would rather personally live in the country than in the city any day, so I totally get why they were all so excited. So Stephen mowed the grass while his children cleaned the leaves from under the porch and in front of the yard. Strangely enough, the trees seemed to be shedding their leaves as if it was fall. Strange tree behavior, Stephen thought, and made a mental note to mention it to the landlady the next time they spoke. Stephen asked his youngest son to go inside and bring out the garden hose from the basement so he could clean off the walkways and wash down the weathered white of the house. His son eagerly ran into the home. A few moments passed when Stephen heard his little boy screaming from inside of the house. Running frantically to go attend to him, Stephen found his son standing in the kitchen, shaking in the middle of a puddle of urine. "What's wrong?" Stephen asked. "What happened?" His son looked at his father with fear in his eyes and said, "Something chased me up the basement steps." "What chased you?" Stephen asked, already thinking it was his son's overactive imagination. His son's voice quivered as he spoke. "I don't know, Daddy, but it was big." Stephen and his other two children checked the basement, but found nothing, except the garden hose that had been dropped during the little boy's frightened escape. "Let's get you cleaned up," Stephen said, as he attended to his youngest son. Naturally, there was teasing from the other two children about the supposed basement monster.
That would be me teasing my brothers.
I can clearly see you doing that, especially to your middle brother.
This episode is brought to you by
Creating comfort magically. Bare Naturals uses 100% natural soy wax, clean scent fragrances, and natural essential oils. Enjoy a safer way to have your home smelling wonderful. With Bare Natural candles, your home is free of harsh chemicals and toxins. With an eco-friendly and space-saving design, you'll enjoy a safe, sensory experience in the comfort of your own home every time.
Bare Natural candles are committed to only using the most natural, eco-friendly ingredients. Bare Natural candles are vegan and cruelty-free.
Experience luxury at an affordable price. These candles are a one-of-a-kind quality dedicated to peace of mind, relief, and protection.
Begin your journey today. Enjoy code WELCOME for 20% off of an order. Sign up for a free store account to view orders and gain access to your rewards for future savings.
Bare Naturals, where fragrance meets enchantment.
It's more than just a candle. It's magic. So the rest of Sunday and Monday went without any other incidents, and the Lachance family were so happy those first few days in their home. Stephen's daughter was making plans to have a garden, and his two sons thought walking to their baseball games would be easy because the park was very close. It was a normal, happy time, which, unfortunately, did not last long.
Monday came. The last week of school for Stephen's kids and a long week of work for Stephen. Each day, they would leave the house, returning each evening to find every light in the house turned on. Every single light, oh my gosh. Stephen blamed the children for leaving the lights on in the morning. However, Stephen and his daughter sent the boys to the car on Friday while checking the house, ensuring every light was off. That night, when they returned home, every light was on. The second Stephen walked into the house, he was a little shaken. There was no logical reason for all the lights to be on, other than someone turning them on. Searching the house in a panic, Stephen found nothing. "Daddy, it's cold in here," his daughter stated from the living room. Stephen was confused on what she was talking about. Sweat was pouring down his back and across his brow. However, the temperature dropped 30 degrees when he stepped into the living room. That was the first time Stephen felt its presence. And this is what Stephen said about the way it felt. "I can't describe it any better. It felt like an electrical current running through my body, bringing tears to my eyes and bumps to my arms. It passed quickly. I remember thinking, what was that?" Oh my gosh, Mom! That's exactly how our attic feels when you walk in certain spots.
You know, I've never thought about putting that feeling into words, but you're absolutely right, Jessie. It feels like you're walking through static in certain areas of our attic. So creepy.
That's where a haunted Marilyn Monroe doll is.
I need to get rid of that thing. It just has to be done properly so that nothing lingers behind. I don't want any leftover residual energy from that doll, especially all that negativity it brings.
Okay, so Stephen was in the living room observing the drop in temperature. His daughter said, "Daddy, it's getting warm in here." Sure enough, the temperature was rising. Stephen watched the thermostat climb. That night, Stephen's children slept with him in the same room. Although Stephen did not get much sleep.
As a parent, I know how this is. When something paranormal is trying to hurt your family, you don't sleep.
This episode is brought to you by
Tired of the same old coffee routine? Craving a cup of paradise? Introducing Kona Coffee House LV. Bring the magic of Kona coffee straight to you, wherever you are.
Kona Coffee House LV uses only the finest 100% organic Hawaiian Kona coffee beans, made by perfection by Sammy Scrumptious herself. These gluten-free and preservative-free beans are a rare specialty, offering a unique and unforgettable taste experience.
No need to wait in line. Kona Coffee House LV is mobile, delivering a taste of paradise. Book Kona Coffee today for corporate events, parties, venues, and so much more.
Follow Kona Coffee on Instagram at Kona Coffee House LV for updates on upcoming events. Visit their website at konacopel.com to learn more and schedule your Kona Coffee experience today. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to savor the world's finest coffee. A week went by in their home. Sunday night rolls by once more. Stephen and the children were sitting in the living room talking. Stephen was getting ready to take a trip the following morning to Indianapolis for work, and the children were discussing their plans for a stay at their grandmother's house. The kids had their back to the living room. Stephen noticed something from the corner of his eye. Standing at the kitchen doorway leading to the family room, something was moving. Not something, someone. Stephen looked towards it again. It was a dark figure of a man, even though there was full light. He was in solid form, except there was a moving, churning, dark gray, black smoke or mist that made up his form.
That is terrifying. I would have ran out the house, maybe even burned it down.
I'm sure Stephen would have done the same thing. However, this dark entity was blocking their only exit. Stephen looked down for a moment. He wasn't sure what he was seeing. He thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. A few moments passed, and Stephen hoped it would be gone when he looked up again. But it was still there, and this dark entity began to move. Moving into the family room and pausing in the center, the form was still a churning mass of blackness. It stood there for what seemed like an eternity, but it was only a few moments before the dark form melted into thin air. Stephen struggled with the racing thoughts in his head. He had two choices. Stephen and his kids could run out the house screaming into the night like a bunch of crazy people. Or, the other choice, they could get up quietly, leave the house, pretending nothing was there. Stephen made the decision to go quietly. "Let's go get a soda and see Grandma," Stephen said to his children in a calmly voice. His youngest was instantly excited at the thought of soda before bed, and the older two looked at their father as if he had lost his mind. "Come on, guys, it will be fun," Stephen insisted. He grabbed his car keys that was lying on the coffee table in front of them.
Thank God his keys were within arm's reach.
They moved orderly out the front door. As Stephen turned to lock the door, the sound of a loud, painful scream came from inside the house. It was the screams of a man. It rose from a low growl to an ear-splitting shriek without warning or cause. It sounded as if someone was screaming in pain, so loud that it could be heard throughout the neighborhood. Dogs began to howl at the noise. "Get in the car!" Stephen yelled to his children. As they started the car to drive away, Stephen's youngest son said in a terrified voice, "Daddy, the basement monster is standing in the upstairs window." Stephen looked back, and sure enough, the black form stood in the window, watching them leave.
That same night, Stephen and his children stayed at his parents' house. The next day, he gathered up his things to leave for his business trip. This would give him a whole week to rationalize and think about the events that occurred. Stephen wasn't sure where else him and his kids could go. He put everything he'd saved into the move of the haunted house. At the end of his business trip, he had no choice but to return to the old, white, haunted house.
I wish he would have stayed at his parents' house. It would have been safer for his children.
Since Stephen was gone for a week, he probably have felt a little braver, or maybe he thought he was overreacting.
Maybe. I get that he felt cornered. It's hard when you've invested all your money in a home that you're sharing with a ghost. I've gone through that before, Jesse, and it's not fun.
It was Friday night when Stephen and his children returned to the house. The weekend went by without incident, though Stephen got very little sleep. Stephen decided to take another extended weekend with his children to make up for the week he was away. On Saturday, they explored the big shed at the back of the yard. In it, they found several personal belongings that appeared to belong to different people. Stephen's parents convinced him that maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea to call the strange old landlady and ask her some straightforward questions about the house.
I would definitely call and be like, "Excuse me, Miss Landlady. Am I the only one paying rent in this home? If so, you need to start charging that ghost that's living up in there."
Exactly. Ghosts have no shame and no sense when it comes to bills. They were flipping on and off the light switch. They would leave the lights on when the people came home. You gotta pay some bills if you're gonna do that. They love running up water and electricity. Charge the ghost rent!
That's right. Charge that ghost some rent. The ghost needs to get a job. Hello?
This episode is brought to you by
Looking for a reputable notary republic at an affordable price? Well, look no further. Mrs. Ashley Lutchman is now taking appointments and accepting new clients. Jesse and I needed some documents to sign for our podcast.
We wanted someone with experience who was well known and didn't cost a fortune.
That's right. One of our good friends had worked with Mrs. Lutchman regarding some legal paperwork they needed notarized and recommended her to us.
She was professional, efficient, and affordable.
If you need important documents notarized, email Ashley Lutchman at ashleylutchman@gmail.com. Ashley Lutchman can be found on Instagram and TikTok. I will link her socials and her email in our show notes.
Ashley Lutchman is remote and commissioned in the state of Florida.
Stephen called the landlady into what would be the most awkward and strangest phone calls of his life. He carefully chose his words and asked if any of the previous tenants had ever mentioned a ghost. At first, the landlady said she couldn't remember. However, she stated that one female tenant claimed her dead father had come to visit her. The landlady said the girl had left behind some of the stuff in the shed, but she couldn't get her to come pick it up. The other stuff in the shed evidently belonged to a man who had lived there but left in the middle of the night, leaving behind his things. But no, she had never heard of anyone talking about the house being haunted. Stephen asked her, how long did these people live in the home? The landlady replied, not much more than a year.
Hold up, I'm sorry, but what? You mean to tell me Stephen called and the landlady was like, no one lived there for more than a year? And the tenants that did live there refused to come back and get their stuff? No. The house is haunted. The house is obviously haunted.
Every incident that occurred screams, haunted! That landlady most likely knew it was haunted. She just didn't want to give back his deposit.
That's exactly what it was. It was about that money.
The rest of the long weekend came and went. Stephen had convinced himself that it was just a one-time ordeal because nothing more was happening.
Well, that didn't last long. Monday night rolled around. Stephen was on the phone with his mother. His children were playing in his bedroom, which was located on the first floor. While on the phone, Stephen began to hear the inside doors rattle. Listening closely, they rattled again. Stephen yelled to the kids to quit playing games. He then told his mother that everything was okay, and the children were just playing tricks. The doors rattled again, this time harder. So, Stephen yelled louder at the kids to stop misbehaving. The doors rattled once more, even harder and louder. Before Stephen could yell, his daughter's scared little voice cut him off. "Daddy, I'm in here reading, and my brothers are sleeping. I'm sorry, but that gives me freaking chills every time I read that. Oh my gosh, my heart would have just sunk to my feet.
I can only imagine how Steven felt in that moment, that feeling of dread.
I'm feeling that dread. As a parent, knowing that your children are supposed to be in the other room and you think they're playing and you think it's them and they're sleeping and one is reading a book. Whew, girl, that's just a lot. So just as Stephen heard his daughter, the temperature in the house instantly dropped to 30 degrees. With it came the feeling of an electrical charge running through Stephen's body. A dark, ominous energy and a horrible stench covered the room. And then the screaming started, softly. Stephen yelled through the phone to his mother to help. He was going to get out with his children. Suddenly, the whole house began to shake and come alive. From above, Stephen could hear something large coming down the stairs. The screaming of a man rang out through the home, over and over again. Stephen's daughter began to scream. In that moment, Stephen knew he had to get to his children. The house had become alive, filled with a dark, noisy entity. The floor beneath Stephen began shaking as he approached the bedroom door. He could feel something behind him. Stephen didn't dare turn around. Whatever was behind him, he did not want to see. A new scream mixed into the man's screaming broke out in waves throughout the hallways of the home. This new scream was from a child. Stephen finally made it to his bedroom door. He put all his weight into the door, trying to get it open. But still, it wouldn't budge. He continued to throw his body into the door until finally it slammed open. His daughter was in shock at this point. Stephen instructed his middle son to grab his brother, run out the front door, and head to the car. Stephen's daughter did not move. She was frozen in fear. He had to slap her to bring her to life.
That's messed up.
It is, but I understand why he did what he did. This seemed like a life or death situation for his children. He just wanted his daughter to run. And although his method was unorthodox, it actually worked. She finally responded. They ran for the door. As they were doing so, they could hear the other bedroom door slam behind them. This thing, whatever it was on their trail. Stephen knew he couldn't let this demonic force reach them. The whole house at this point was shaking alive with groans and screams coming from an unseen force. They reached the front door and then onto the porch. Stephen slammed the door behind them. As they got into the car, they could still hear the noise from the house. Stephen drove away and parked at the top of the street, where the four of them could still see the house as they waited for his parents to arrive. They watched in disbelief. They could see this dark entity searching for them through the house. Blackness moved from room to room. That was their last night in the house. Stephen's children never returned.
Eventually, Stephen had to collect his and the children's belongings that were still in the home. Even when Stephen went back, he never went alone. Everyone he brought to that house with him would also witness something happen. A scream, whispers, pounding on the floor from above. The dark demonic force was not selective anymore at who it let hear its wrath. Stephen's brother brought his camera one day and started taking random pictures of each room. He captured something in one of his photos in the fruit cellar of the home. It was the face of a man. When Stephen went to turn in his keys to the landlady, she said something really interesting to him.
Well, what did she say?
Don't interrupt me, I was about to say it.
You have me on the edge of my seat here. I want to know. Our notes are not the same. Jeez, Jesse.
Just let me read. As Stephen was face to face with the landlady, she could clearly see that the whole side of Stephen's arm and torso were still bruised from throwing himself against the bedroom door.
So, what did she say? I'm still waiting.
Some people are meant to live in an old house like that, and some people aren't. I never thought you were the old house type.
Wow. That landlady needs to give Stephen back his deposit. There's no way she didn't know that house was haunted. She definitely knew, and that comment right there that she told him says it all.
About a month after moving out of the old house, a friend sent Stephen a website address. Put John T. Crow, Union, Missouri into your search engine, she said. When Stephen did, the face of a man appeared on his screen. It was the same face that showed up in a picture his brother had taken in the fruit cellar of the home. The man was famous. The land is famous, dating back to the Civil War.
That's crazy that it was the same face. Oh my goodness. And the fact that it dates back to the Civil War, of course it's going to be haunted. Anything dating back that long ago is going to be haunted.
About a year ago, one of Stephen's friends saw a police car race up to the old White House. That friend witnessed a family running out of the front door in their pajamas.
Okay, someone needs to sue that landlady. That's so sad that more families were terrorized after Stephen and his children left.
As for the house today, the old lady turned it into a dog kennel. I guess she ran out of people that could live in an old haunted house like that one.
That doesn't make it any better. Those poor animals. They're probably being terrorized by ghosts. That's so sad.
I can't imagine leaving our dogs at a haunted kennel.
That's why we never leave our dogs anywhere, Jesse. So before all this happened, Stephen was a big skeptic. He didn't believe in the paranormal. Now, he's a true believer. He can still hear the screams of the dark entity clawing its way into his sleep, twisting dreams into nightmares. Sleep offers little peace for Stephen. In his dreams, a faceless man appears. Grunting breaths echo. The heavy, labored breathing of something unseen in the same room. Stephen believes in ghosts. And if you're listening out there, perhaps you should too.
So Stephen wrote a book, Stephen Lachance, of course, that is called The Uninvited, The True Story of the Union Screaming House. I will link it in the show notes if anyone is interested.
I'm interested. I don't know if you know this, but it's already in our Amazon shopping cart. I plan on buying it, reading it, probably reading it again. You're allowed to read it if you want to, Jesse, when it comes. I think it's an amazing story. Everything I read online, I'm hooked. I want to know more.
I am definitely reading that with you. Anyway, well, folks, that is all the time we have. Thanks for tuning in.
Stay tuned for our bloopers after the announcements.
Our bloopers are a great way to laugh after we talk about spooky and sometimes disturbing topics. It's all of our silly mistakes bundled up at the end of each episode.
Trust me, you don't want to miss our bloopers. We make a lot of mistakes and sometimes just act darn right silly while recording.
If you have a spooky story and would like to have it read on air, or if you want to give someone a shout out, please write us at milkshakesghost@gmail.com. If you would like to follow us on our socials, we're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, Twitter, and Patreon.
If you would like to become a Patreon member, please visit patreon.com/milkshakesandghosts. I will link it in the show notes along with all of our other socials.
Join Patreon for free gifts and cool perks.
Let's give a shout out to our awesome, amazing Patreon members.
Hey, alright. Patreon. Hey, alright. Come on and join the trend. Hey, alright.
Brothers and sisters, join me. It's time for Patreon.
Mr. E from Special Delivery Show. Check out the Special Delivery Show. His podcast takes interviews to a whole new level. You guys do not miss his show. He interviews some amazing people, including me and Jesse. We were on a show, I think, in March of this year, so definitely check him out. I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Sinister Brew Coffee, where every sip reminds you that the dark side is delicious. Wicked Salem's Candle, so good, it's scary. Bare Naturals Candles and more. It's more than just a candle, it's magic. Kona Coffee House LV, Hawaiian coffee delivering a taste of paradise. Ashley Lachman, a reputable notary republic at an affordable price. All of our sponsors are listed in our show notes, along with links to contact them. I'd also like to give a big shout out to PsychoFiend13. He posts really cool content and has weekly lives with some amazing people. Go give him a follow. I will link his TikTok account in our show notes. Jesse, are you ready? Are you ready to announce our VIP members?
MNG VIP members also include Alice from Haunted Road Atlas, Jonathan Morales, Olivia Perez, Mara Sanchez, Luna of the Darkness, Carlos Rivera, Hidden Shadows, Lynn Starscape, Erica Dolph, Jenna 44, Richard Walsh, Casey Spooky Stories, Jackals the Call, Darren Willis, Death Rock 1875, Electra 222, Claire Jones, John and Jedi, Mothman Prophecy 424, Vampires Rock 222, The Blonde Happenings with Kelly and Brenda, Witches for Life 1892, Vicar Real 76, Bloodsucker 95, 8 Nightmares 88, Witch Talk 65, Dracula Rock 22, Tina and Ruben, Ramos 1972, Bruce All Spooky, Harmony and Jenna Rock, The Dark Side, Ronald H, Justin Tatum, Myra Morales from That's So Spooky, Jada Camille H, Tony S, Dean from Truth's Out There, Nadia Edward, Colin, Becca, Maine, Kenneth, Susan Christina, Joe from Paranormal Countdown, Alan, Death Star 1, Maxine, Terror Screams, Jules M, Victor Ma, Haunted Canadian History, Bilson, Dan, Truth Is Out There with Carly and Allison.
Woo! I love hearing you say all our Patreon members. That is awesome. Our family is growing. We love all of you guys so much. Thank you so much for being our Patreon members. We appreciate each and every single one of you.
And remember, keep drinking milkshakes.
And keep being spooky! It's time for bloopers!
I saw that. It's magic.
Magic. Do you believe in magic? Our version of Ghost.
Literally.
You're brilliant, Dada. You're brilliant. Brilliant! I don't know which dog was that. No, I don't know. That was a new noise. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna break your finger. Don't put your head in my mouth.
Do it.
Don't put it in my mouth. I will bite you, Jesse. I did not say that right.
It's spooky season, spooky season, spooky season, spooky season, it's spooky season, 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 spooky season. It's spooky season, 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 it's spooky season, it's spooky season, spooky season.